Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Whose idea? Analysts weigh in on PNP President's speech at party's annual conference. St. James Police to intensify operations despite crime reduction. And later in sports, two-time world champion feels she fell short despite successes this year. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. While PNP President Mark Golding has received praises from some quarters for his speech at his party's annual conference, there are still concerns from others. Political commentator Lloyd B. Smith believes the party president failed to use a platform at the national conference to detail how his administration will effectively implement its plans. Details from Halshin Burke.
Concerns this afternoon from at least one political commentator about PNP President Mark Golding's message at the party's 85th Annual General Conference. Political commentator Lloyd B. Smith says it's unclear if the points highlighted were that of the party or of the party president himself. He was speaking on Power 106's Morning Agenda on Monday.
All these grand ideas that Mr. Golding has put forward is going to be a challenge as to how the shadow cabinet, for example, will be able to articulate these matters out there and to bring them more to the fore. And so that to me is one lacking aspect to the overall presentation yesterday. I didn't sense sufficient coalescing coming from the PNP in terms of a team effort where we see an overall party position rather than just a Golding position.
Mr. Smith's stance comes following what he says is a lackluster performance of the shadow cabinet. In the meantime, another political commentator, Dr. Damian Gordon, believes that key issues which are important to the Jamaican public were addressed. Of note, the income tax threshold. Mr. Golding on Sunday stated that a PNP government would double the income tax threshold from the current $1.5 million. This comes as Jamaicans have been crying out as inflationary pressures continue to eke out their financial resources.
He was very clear about the priorities of our future PNP government, and the issues that he addressed were issues that have implications for all Jamaicans. He was clear in terms of presenting a set of ideas that would give Jamaicans the impression that this is somebody who is ready to lead the country. I'm not sure if there will be any mass conversion of Jamaicans, but I think he succeeded in terms of presenting himself as somebody who could govern the country with a concrete set of ideas.
Halshin Burke, TVJ News.
PNP MP Philip Paulwell was absent from the party's biggest event for the year on Sunday. His colleagues explained Mr. Paulwell is using the time to be with family as they try to cope with the disappearance of his child and her mother. Dwayne Anderson was at the annual conference on Sunday and now reports.
From the divisional level all the way up to the PNP president, most of them sat on this very stage here on Sunday to participate in the annual general conference. But conspicuous by his absence was Philip Paulwell. I asked several members of the PNP where Mr. Paulwell was and if he was okay.
When you have such terrible circumstances where your child is missing, it's going to have a devastating effect on you. And what we really want to do at this time is to offer some solidarity with Comrade Paulwell, who is going through a really difficult time, as any parent out there, or even if you're not a parent, you can imagine that it must be a very difficult time. And during these times, persons often want to spend time, they want to be with family members, and they want to ensure that they comfort their loved ones. And so we are affording Comrade Paulwell that space for him to be able to do so.
I think we all go through things at times in terms of a public official. I myself, I support him. And I think he has been a good lawmaker serving over 25 years. Look, we all go through struggles. There's different seasons. He's now in a season, but better days are coming. So we'll see sunshine pretty soon.
A $500,000 reward is being offered for information that could lead to the safe return of the child and her mother. Members of the public are being urged to assist.
We really want to encourage anybody out there who has any information that can lead to the safe return of his daughter and her mother, that they should come forward with that information, because we really want them to be reunited and be healthy and safe.
On Thursday, the police said they picked up a person they believe can help with the probe into the alleged abduction of the child and mother. The person was reportedly removed from an aircraft while attempting to leave Jamaica. Sources indicate that the individual was questioned by the police. The child and her mother are believed to have been abducted from their home in St. Andrew on Saturday, September 9. Our news centre has been informed the police are making good progress in their investigation. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
In other stories, despite a reduction of serious crimes in St. James, the police say they will be intensifying their operations in troubled communities. But as you'll hear in this report, at least one councillor has taken issue with the approach being used by the police.
Commanding Officer for the St. James Police Division, Superintendent Aaron Samuels, came equipped with data as he provided an update on crime in the parish. He noted that while serious crimes are down, there are still concerns.
Most of the incidents that we're seeing now are domestic in nature. So we are doubling up our efforts now in terms of our community relations, community policing, trying to teach persons how to deal with their different problems.
Superintendent Samuels then turned his attention to his plans to address these issues and called for help from councillors and other stakeholders.
Especially in the areas that are known problem areas. Councillor Sinclair, others, you know, we have a good working relationship. You know what I'm talking about, sir. We're talking about your area, Flanker. We want to see if we can get Flanker back to the point where you want.
But it is the quietest place.
It's quiet because the police is working in there, sir.
But that will not go down well with Councillor for the Montego Bay Northeast Division, Charles Sinclair, who challenged the comments made by the commanding officer.
Do not prejudice these communities. They already have their challenges, but I think that they are doing, and I will speak for Franca, that they are doing very well. You have challenges everywhere. Do not prejudice them with these broad brush type of comment. An incident took place.
We would want a situation where we don't have to have that 24/7 presence of the police within that space.
Meanwhile, the police recently arrested and charged the man they say is responsible for killing 5 homeless people in the parish. But Superintendent Samuels says the police will be increasing their presence in the space.
So when you have so many homeless persons on the street that they can try to probably mimic that act again.
Javon Keys, TVJ News.
The Health Ministry has released data on the number of complaints from citizens while at public health facilities across the island. And although the cases are a drop in the bucket compared to the total number of patients seen, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the reports help to improve the overall service delivery and management of the public health care sector. Jamila Maitland tells us more.
Every now and again, reports of alleged mistreatment, lack of resources, poor service delivery, theft, among others, make their way from the waiting areas, the wards and halls of public health facilities across the island.
Patients on a whole will go to our hospitals across the country. They go with an intention of being treated, being cared for.
The Ministry of Health's Complaints Management System has been tracking the number of reports filed. From April to June, 225 complaints were processed. Most of them came from the hospitals.
Top 5 contributors or institutions of the total caseload of complaints were the Kingston Public Hospital, Spanish Town Hospital, St. Anne's Bay Hospital, Princess Margaret Hospital and Mandeville Regional Hospital, collectively contributing to some 61% in total cases handled in Q1.
According to Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, it represents 1 in every 3,100 patients seen. But even he knows it's still 1 too many.
Poor quality clinical care, 56. Inadequate treatment, 16. unprofessional behavior 13, refusal to provide service 14, failure to provide safe environment 11, delay in admission 7, and post-surgery complications 8.
There are hospitals, however, that didn't have any complaints found against the facility or its employees for the period.
Hope Institute, National Chess, St. John Golding Rehabilitation Center, and those that have had less than 2, Lionel Town, Percy Jr., Linstead, and Noel Holmes hospitals.
But what of the complaints received? Minister Tufton says more than a dozen of them have been closed. Others are being investigated internally, while some transferred to the management of the health ministry. But are the issues resolved?
Sometimes patients just need somebody to talk to answer a question. They need a comfortable seat, being reassured, just empathy, really. The therapy starts, we say, at the gate of our health institutions, even before the technical assessment and response is done.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Education Minister Paulwell Williams is encouraging parents and guardians to partner with schools to help address the various challenges in schools. Speaking at the official ceremony marking the reopening of schools in Manchester last week, she says while several schools have been outfitted with the various resources, parents and guardians too have a part to play.
What we are encouraging is that we learn to use the processes that exist when we have dissent, when we don't agree with something. I keep saying to our parents, engage with our principals, engage, be active on the board, come to parent-teachers meeting, know what's happening in your school, be a constructive force.
Mrs. Williams said as part of the ministry's efforts to address the growing concerns surrounding the issues in schools, parents will be brought on board.
Coming into this school year, we trained over 40,000 parents in better parenting skills. And so our expectations are great, and we know we have to continue training, but we want to shift the society to one in which we are a gentler, kinder society.
And it's now time for the Business Minute.
Standard & Poor's Global Ratings has upgraded its credit outlook for National Commercial Bank Jamaica NCBJ. The bank announced that its long-term issuer credit rating has moved from B+ to BB-. S&P says the short-term issuer credit ratings were also affirmed at B. The ratings agency has kept a stable outlook for the financial institution as it expects NCBJ will maintain its credit fundamentals over the next 12 months. This comes days after S&P also upgraded Jamaica's sovereign credit rating to BB-. CEO of NCBJ, Septimus Blake, says this validates NCBJ's market position in the domestic financial institution. Further afield, shares of embattled developer China Evergrande Group was down 25% on Monday, after police detained some staff at its wealth management unit, suggesting a new investigation that could add to the property company's woes. Evergrande is at the center of a crisis in China's real estate sector that has seen a string of defaults since late 2021 that have rattled global markets and sparked fears of contagion. Trading in the company's stock was suspended for 17 months until August 28. Last month, the Chinese developer posted a January to June net loss of 33 billion yuan versus a 66.4 billion yuan loss in the similar period in the previous year. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Prince Moore.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Dominican Republic President has defended his decision to close air, sea and land traffic with neighboring Haiti in their dispute over construction of a canal targeting a river that runs through both countries. President Luis Abinador said the border closures, which began Friday, will remain in place until construction is halted on the canal, which seeks to use water from the Massacre River to alleviate a drought in Haiti's plain. It has accused Haiti of violating a 1929 treaty between both countries. On the international scene, 5 Americans who have been imprisoned in Iran have been released. The Iranian Foreign Ministry says it's part of a wider deal that includes the U.S. on freezing $6 billion in Iranian funds. The U.S. government has designated all 5 as being wrongfully detained. The release of the Americans brings to an end a years-long nightmare for those who had been detained. And at least 20 people, mostly mine workers, were killed in South Africa's Limpopo province after a bus they were traveling erupted in flames following a head-on collision with a truck. It's not immediately known how many people were on the bus and if there were any survivors. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Ann Simpson.
Thanks, Carrie Ann. We head to a quick break. When we come back, Jordan Fort will have your midday sports report.